Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to take a look at Warrior Female by buffalo85. This is another asset pack on the Unity store. It is currently on sale for just under $10 USD. That's $9.95, so just under $10 USD. It is part of the New Year sale in the Unity store, so I believe it will be on sale for a few more days, which is part of the reason why I decided to do this review, is to give you some information in case you're interested in purchasing it. And as always, decide for yourself if you feel that price is reasonable. So as you can see, a few things. This was originally released December of 2020, so it's just over a year old, and you can see that there was no updates. Decide for yourself if that is a problem. I tend to be concerned if I don't see any updates because a company would have to have really good Q&A to miss absolutely nothing. I just had yet another package that I bought a few days ago where there were missing textures. So I'd be a little concerned if there's never any kind of update. And again, we're going to go through this package to see if there's any issues, but that's something to keep in mind is when was the most recent time it was updated. Also, if enough years have passed, it's possible there may be some incompatibilities. It's not a very large package. It's under 20 megabytes, and that's about it. So I already imported it. This is the folder you get here. We're not really going to go into all these with the exception of animations, and you'll see why in a minute. So there's a demo scene, but all it is, it's the single animated character cycling through their animations. But I wanted to take you through, I don't want to say from scratch because the animations are already existent, but for whatever reason, they're not actually linked to the prefab. So I'm like, all right, well, this is a good thing to talk about that we normally don't. So for whatever reason, the prefab does not have the animations attached. So let's go through how you would do that. So we go into the prefab folder. There's this version of the character with the sword, and the sword is also its own prefab, so you could actually replace the sword, because usually the way a weapon works, the weapon itself might not have any animation associated with it. It's the hand and the arm and the shoulder, and it's just that since the weapon is a child to those objects, that it will move accordingly. So there's a good chance you actually might be able to swap out the weapon without any negative impact. I just want to call that out there. And that's if the weapon is a separate object. It usually will be. And there's also a version that's not holding the sword. So I already just created an empty scene. We'll take the version with the sword, put it in here. As you can see, it does have an animator attached, but again, there's no controller. If there's no controller, there's also no animations. So what we're going to do, let's click on the camera. So she's kind of far away, so let's move the camera closer. And what we're going to do is, rather than having her face the camera, let's do a profile like as if there's a side scroll. Not that it really matters. All right, so rotated her 90 degrees. And if we go to animator, you can see there's no animator. See? Nothing. Okay. So controller. So that means we need a new controller. So I'm just going to right click, create, and we're going to go to animator controller, and we'll just call this test. You can call it whatever you want, doesn't matter. We take and we put test there in the controller. We double click and it opens up, and again we're in the animator tab. So now this is where you would add animations. Now those do exist. So if you navigate here to animations, these do have decent names like attack 1, attack 2, that kind of thing. So generally speaking, you probably want to start with idle, that when they're created, they're idle. So we'll just drag and drop idle. It automatically sets it as the default state, because if you right click, you can see it's grayed out. If for some reason you wanted a different animation to be the default state, when you add it, you'd right click on it and choose set layer as default, and that orange color would move to that one, indicating that it's the default state. So now, if we run this, there we go. She now has an idle animation. So I'm not sure what the logic was to not attach it. And oddly, if you go to the demo scene, it does have an animator that does have a controller that has these animations attached. And yet, weirdly, the names are completely different. It's like take 01, take 02, take 03. So for some reason, they totally changed the names of the animations. Whereas if you come here it retained that idle underscore _01. So that's how you could add animations to characters. So let's add a couple more and then we'll do some control. So let's add an attack animation. So we've got attack _01. We'll drag and drop that. Now there's no arrows, so unless I use code, this won't ever happen. So I'm going to set this as the default state, just so we can see it without having to do any code yet. There we go. Now that also is an issue because she's moving forward, so you would have to move the character forward once it returns to the proper position. So you have to be careful when it comes to these kind of animations that move the position. You might have unexpected results. Like sometimes you'll have a jump animation, they jump in place, and then other times they will actually vertically ascend. So this can cause issues. I'm not sure if we'll cover that in this video, but be mindful that if weird things are happening, it's because when she returns to her next animation, so actually, let's go to animator, and we'll just make transitions and go to idle. So watch what happens when it goes to idle. Oh, I was wondering why it changed. I accidentally moved the tabs. See that snapback? That's a problem. You wouldn't want that to happen. So what you'd probably have to do is on the final frame, move the characters to position so as that they're now here, because the object's position is still here. It's just that the mesh has moved forward. So be mindful of that as far as handling those types of animations where the animation itself moves the character. You might have unexpected results. Now, some might automatically adjust. Some might have a jump forward and they jump back, but you can see she just kind of slid back, so that's not terribly useful. Would certainly look very wrong in a game. Okay, so now say you want to trigger that animation. So let's delete that. We'll now right-click and choose Set Layers Default. Now let's just do a real quick script. Let's do create C#, and we'll call this Warcon. And it's important to know the name, so attack _01, and we'll take the script, put it on the character. Now, generally speaking, you'd probably not put it on the character in the scene because this character is probably going to be a prefab. So more than likely, you do all the work on the prefab and then drag and drop it into the scene. And I know you guys usually don't like to see me type, so I'll try to type quickly. And what we're going to do is we're going to just press a key down to make her attack. Again, use whatever control you want. I'm just going to use the space key just so you can see how you can actually call an animation, and then I'll probably be about it for this tutorial. So let's do, we'll do this in the update section since we're looking for input. So if input dot get key down, because we want it to be true for just one frame, and I think we just spelled the word space with a lowercase s. And then we will do get component, and we'll use animator, and then play, and then, whoops, what happened? What did I do? Play. And then play, and then the name of the animation. Was it attack underscore _01? I looked at it, and then I didn't even remember. Let's double check. Yeah, attack underscore _01. So attack underscore _01, and then what we can do is I think we can just transition back to idle _01. So she's like that, and she'll just keep cycling through that. And then I hit space. Sure enough, she did the attack. And that's it. So that's how you can do as far as input for calling an animation. So I think that's about it. I don't want to drag out the video. Decide for yourself if you feel that this package is worth it. There's plenty of other animations in here. So if you go into animations, you can see like they have turn animations, there's more attacks, there's death animations. So like just as this gets executed based on a key input, for a death animation, you would say if HP equals 0, then go into death animation, that kind of thing. So in other words, this line would be almost identical, except for the animation that's being played, and it would be if HP is less than 1 or if HP is less than 0, then have a death animation, that kind of thing. Okay, I think that's about it. I don't want to drag out this video, and hopefully this has helped you make a decision as to whether this is a package you would purchase. I don't know if I'm going to use this in any games. As I said, I purchased it partly because it was part of the sale, and I figured this would be a good one to present to you guys. I haven't found any problems with it yet, than I think there is one animation where she's kind of like looking at her sword, and I think it kind of clips through her forehead. But otherwise, it looks pretty solid. No pun intended. I'm not seeing any issues with like missing textures or anything like that. It's just like I said, know that going into this for whatever reason, the prefab does not have an animator controller attached to it. So it has an animator component, but no controller. But now you've seen how to create the controller and then add animations to that animator controller and then go from there. So, okay, I hope you found this interesting. Feel free to leave any comments if there's other things you would like to see. And again, I believe that sale is through the first of the year. And please enjoy the rest of your day as well as the holiday seasons if that is something that you celebrate.